7 CAT scans have been done on these by Jesse Garant and Associates. 3D CAT scans, fabulous, nice job, and very helpful to us. We've had 3 DNA tests done, and they are range from normal size human up to very large human, and they're all 100% human DNA, and I will show that test. And I intend to show that the Earth is covered with giant creatures. This is all facts. I'm not making any of this up, and I can prove it. And I intend to show that Meteor 67P is a giant tendon enthesis point. And I have that as a video on YouTube as well. And there is literally no question about it. So that's what I intend to show, and then I would like to have somebody investigate these on an academic level and look at this as reality, because it's being ignored, and I've been pushing and Comet 67P pushed it right over the top. Alright, and here is a finger, and that's the side that has the, you see, this is a human-sized finger, normal. I have big ones. And then that's the vein side, because they clamp off. See that little dot? That's a vein clamp. They break right on those clamps because it's a weak spot. And this was a fingertip. And then it blew out the blood from the arterial side, the side that is open. See, veins have clamps to keep the bad blood back. And that's why you find the blood leaking out of the vein side when it gets hit with acids and stuff. You see that? If I hit that with acids, it would run blood out of that little dot there. Anyway, that's a fingertip, and yeah, I can show you one, a good size one. See that? That's all the garnets on the bottom. That's what happens. Blood creates garnets. The metals in the blood are the seeds, and they create crystals. You see what happens down inside here? On mud fossils, where in their wet conditions, it eats up the bone. There's I forget the chemicals, but it's a fully understood process. And then you see all these little crystal spikes in here. Then look here. This is the keratins and the kerogens. That's the fabric of your skin. Everybody has that on their skin. And embedded in that is silicon. And the silicon is extremely hard and brittle. Well, it's grippy, and that's what I use. And all of this stuff, the fingernails and the connective tissue and all that stuff is made out of minerals. Here's another one, everybody. Oh, that's just a rock. That is not a rock. That's the end of a bone, but it's a bone from, see that? That's the blood supplies up there. And then you always see extra little dots around them, little holes. And then these are where the ligaments and so forth connect. And that's a bone foramen, they call it. And inside there, you're going to see there's a couple little holes, if you can see them, that are to service this thing with blood, the head of the bone with blood. And these are the cartilage horns that stick off the side. And if you look careful, you see it would separate if I cracked that right off there. The bones they find are nothing like this. They're stripped down to nothing. And again, the center's gone because of the conditions that it's preserved in. But there's so much articulation of the anatomical features of the bone. And I've had this looked at by an anatomist guy. There's no question what it is. Now, there's that. And then every single rock that you find, and I'm saying everyone, people look at it, oh, just a rock. No, it isn't. Rocks don't have arteries and veins. Other rocks don't have arteries and veins. These are not nothing. That's an artery and a vein in there. And I have other ones that show arteries and veins all over the place. That thing is not just a rock. That's a clavicle or something. And it can't. The blood supply is fed right off the end here. See that one? And that one there? That's what happens. That fed this whole bone. And then there's other places where they have little, I don't know what those are exactly in every one of these holes. I don't have all the answers, but I got a lot of them. And these are mud fossils. And this is what's happening. And they get preserved in the wetness of wet. And here's one. Here's another rock. That's not just a rock either. Once again, rocks don't have these kind of features. They do not have veins and arteries. You know, I mean, lava doesn't, but every other rock on the face of the earth does. If you look, you go outside your house right now, pick up a rock, you're going to find a vein and an artery in it. That's just what happens. Everybody thinks they're just dead rocks. No, they're not. There's nothing that is dead. nothing ever was dead. I mean, it's dead now, maybe. It's not actually walking around, but comets in the sky also have this exact same architecture, identical, identical. It's just the whole universe is alive. There's no question. Mars is too. Oh, well, it's dead now. And I think Velikovsky had the right idea. He went back to the ancients and they predicted all this stuff. They looked at this stuff so careful because he says what happened was there was a giant crash and that's where Venus was created from. It sprang from the head of Jupiter. This is all. It all stuff makes sense in the past. Well, they were so dedicated to that. They didn't do it just for fun, I don't think. So this is my take. I could be wrong. But that's what I'm taking. But I have so much backup on this. I'm going to show you some other stuff. Israel is covered with dead creatures too. So is Australia. So is America. So is everywhere. That's just everywhere. That is what happened. There was giants in the earth. They weren't kidding. Okay, I hope you'll be able to see this. I want to show you. I showed you before that toe, I said, and look at this feature here. You see that little circle with the dimple in the center, that like that there, and then you see this clear outline of it, and then it goes over into this red stuff. Now let me show you something as I back out of here. You see what that red stuff is? It's a vein and an artery. You see that? One of them is dark and one of them is lighter. The vein side will always be the darker, and it will always spew out more because the other one has already blown all its stuff out usually. You see all this stuff running out of there? That's the vein side, the contaminated blood. This is the artery side, the good blood. This is whatever this little structure is, I don't know what it is, but they seem to show up alongside of veins and arteries. This is in Israel. This right here is Mount Arabel National Park. Now these are everywhere in the world. Australia has them too. It's just littered with them. Australia is literally just slaughtered with blood. Something died. And all these things are on the surface. All these things are on the surface. Think about that very, very carefully. Because these things died just recently. And I'm going to show you the evidence of it. I know they're petrified. I know they're turned into stone. I can't tell you how long it takes. I made some stone creature, some stone out of it started to turn into feldspar actually, and I made that with chicken tissue in silicates, just normal sands of the earth, and with electrical potentials. And electrical potentials do exist in the ground. They never took this into consideration. They always look in the dry places looking for old rotten old bones nobody wants. Well, these are pieces of creatures, and they exist everywhere else on the face of the earth except in the dry, because the dry areas have too much porosity, and the fascia and the connective tissues in your body will stay resilient and protect you in death exactly the way they did in life if you continue to stay moist. That appears and compacted with silicates around you, very, very, very fine particulates and mud, because those little silicates literally plate your body because of these electrical potentials, and that protects everything that's within inside of you. And that's exactly what happened to all these creatures, and they died not too long ago. We've got to take a look at things in a realistic way and think about them and not just go, whoa, this guy's crazy. Because maybe I'm crazy, but maybe I'm not. All right, I hope you're going to be able to see this. Now, if you look up here, this is the end of the tendon assembly, and it's snapped off. And these are you see, these are the straps. Now, that's the straps. The tendon is right here, and from there it would continue on, and then there would be a ball on the end, which is the plagial case. Now, watch this. I am going to back away from the edge. You see this thick, I have to focus here. You see the straps? They almost look like boards. This is the exact same structure that you see at the Giant's Causeway, and guess where else? Sicker Point. Now watch this. Whoops. I got to get it focused in here. Hold on. All right, you see that white stuff? You see the white little flaky things? Tendons are heavily mineralized, and those are the minerals. Now, I'm going to back up these straps. Wait till you see this. You see them? They're totally independent little bars. And then look at this. It comes to this. And this is an investment of tissue, which is the transition between the tendinous fiber and this, and then the muscle. Now, watch this. Now, this is, I could make it a little, let me see if I put a little more light on there. You can see it's, well, maybe a little less light. Yeah, now you see the color? It's red. You see the fibers? These, I mean the flakes? Those are the minerals. So now we're here. Isn't that something? Now, that's the blood. And you see these are the blood supplies. All of your tissue has to have blood. See, they're heavily invested with blood. Now, and I don't know why, to be perfectly honest with you, but that's where they are. And now watch this. So now it goes from this to that. Now check this out. So where are you going to go from there? That's the transition. It's like glue between the barry stuff, and then you transition, look, right into your muscle fibers. And there's your muscle fibers. You see that? And this, let me see if I can, and it'll be white and dark and this and that for a while. The plagioclase, the white mineralized stuff is in with the muscle fibers. And as you go further and further out, hold on. As you go further and further out, you get less of that, and it gets more wavy, like muscle fiber. Now, it's broken off out here again, at this end. And these are, you know, I think you've seen this, and they're just like woven, like somebody weaves your hair. And this identical same stuff is on Mars. So, and it's everywhere, actually, in the universe. It's on that comet, 67P, I think it's called. And it's on a whole bunch, it's everywhere. The universe is alive. That's what it is. All right, this is a lung, been CAT scanned and so forth, and I believe that also is a lung. And that one there was filled with blood, and when it came through the outer atmosphere into the earth, it literally smelted. There's going to be vascular entries here, vein and artery, that you can easily see, and you can see them, and you can see the red iron is a little different. There's Fe2s and Fe3s. At any rate, it's going to be quite obvious, and they are all obvious. I have other ones that are meteorites, the same thing. There's an iron meteorite that's cut in half, and there's your vein, and there's your artery. The artery's red, the vein is black, and you see all this black leached around there? That's just what happens. Blood has that extra little ferritins in it.